Hi everyone, welcome you all. Today we are going to discuss join method to join two or more data frames, and then we will be looking into combined underscore first method, and then we will be discussing how to handle null values. Right? So let's get started. To start my session, I will be copying some data so that I can quickly create my data frames and that can be used to merge or join. Okay, so let's get started. Let's run this and analyze these two data frames. Now you can see I'm having two data frames. Here we have two data frames. Now some of the values are null here, and now you can see the indexes. Now my index are almost similar and IDs are also similar. Right? So now what we are gonna do is use a combine function. Okay, now how to use a combine function is, first of all, a data frame which contains a null values or some values are missing, and then we are going to use a combine first and then specify the data frame from where we want to take values. Now what my command will do is, now it will fill my null values with the other data frame. That is, for example, here you can see in a second row, or in this row, in feature 1 column we have a NaN or not a value. Okay, now here we have specified B, so now P will be taken from other data frame and filled to my data frame 1. Okay, and similarly in the third row, in the fourth row, you can see we have a null value and that will be filled up from the our data frame 2. Let's run this program. Okay, now see what happens. We are getting a new data frame where all the missing values are filled up with the other value. So this is a way to combine your data frame if you have two similar data frame and some values are missing, and then you can use this. Okay, there may be a situation where we have two different source and some is missing and something is present. Okay, this is really very nice way combine two data frame and fill the all missing values. Right, you don't have to do anything, your combine first function does all the thing. Okay, now let us discuss our join function. Now to use join we need another data frame, so that I can show you how join function works in data frames. And we have dummy data 3, and you can see it's a dictionary with two keys, ID and feature. Now you can see IDs is a common column amongst the three data frames, and we have 1 2 3 4 5 up to 5 data frame in df1 and df2. It is up to here and rest are missing. Okay, so we are going to create my data frame from the dictionary dummy data 3, and let us print both the data frames on which I am going to perform a join operation. Print df1. Okay, so this is it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a join function. Okay, so how I can use a join function is, first of all, df3, basically on which join operation I'm going to apply, or my left data frame will be df3 join, then specify the other data frame. For instance, this will be my data frame 1, and then I can specify the join condition. We have discussed what are the possible values for the join condition, that is outer, inner, left and right. Those who haven't learned that, you can always go to my previous video. I will leave a link in description and you can see and come back here. Okay, so in this case I will be using left join. Okay, so now I need to specify two more parameter, that is L suffix is equals to, let's say my left hand data frame is a data frame 3, so df3 may be my suffix for left hand side, that is data frame 3, its suffix is underscore df3. let's use our suffix is equals to, in this case we have data frame 2. Okay, let's run this program or statement. I was having one f extra. After rectifying, you can see my resultant data frame. Here you can see my data frame are aligned or joined on the basis of my index values. Okay, it is not based on my IDs, it is based on my index values. Since I have used a left, so all the values from the left data frame, that is df3, are present, and the non-matching values are filled up with NaN. Okay, so this is how it goes, right? If I say, let's say, same, I'm going to copy this one from here to here. Instead of df, let's write right. Okay, now run. Now you can see only my matching index values are present. So in this way you can customize the behavior of your join function, right? Okay, now hope you have understood the concept of join and how to use join function. Now let us see how to handle null values. So first of all, in this context we are going to see how to detect these null values. For example, if my data frame 1 has a null values, then what I can do is use a null function and check it. Okay, so now you can see my row has this row in between feature 1 has null value, that is true, and here you can see null value. So it gives all the null values on the basis of values in the data frame. So individual values, this contains this, in this column we are not having a null value, not null. This can easily be used for masking, right? Now we have learned how to detect null values. Let us see how to drop missing values, okay, or NaNs from the data frame. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, I know that my data frame 1 has null values. What I'm going to do is create another data frame x is equals to df1 dot drop na. Okay, and let us print this df underscore x, and now you will notice all the rows having null values are gone or dropped. Okay, so in this way you can get a clean database that do not have a null values, okay, which can conflict with your arithmetic operations. Now why we need to remove these null values? Because if you want to apply an arithmetic operations and then the data having null values is useless, because we cannot perform any arithmetic or numeric operation on null values, right? Okay, now drop na function also has a parameter called how. Let us see in a moment. Okay, I'm going to create another data frame containing this, and let's say how is equals to, let's say, all. So all is the optional value, okay, which indicates if a row contains all the value is equals to null. Okay, all the columns in a particular row are specified as null, then only will be deleted. Okay, so I don't have any, so you can see none of the values or none of the rows are deleted. Okay, in the above command you can specify drop na access is equals to specify columns, comma, you can specify how, but I'm not going to do it this time, and you will see the same result. Okay, so you can specify numeric one for second axis, that is columns, or you can specify columns. In drop na there is another parameter called thresh. To demonstrate that, I will be using the result of this query. Let us store this in some other data frame called df4 and df4. Now you can see my df contains some of the null values. In these two rows we have one null values, but in 5 6 7 8 9 we have multiple null values. Okay, let us use df dot drop na and use the parameter called thresh is equals to, let's say, 1. Okay, let us run this command. Sorry, I have to keep it 3. And now what it will do, it will keep only those rows having less than equals to 3 null values. Okay, I think this parameter is also clear to you. Now suppose if I want to drop those rows having feature 2 is equals to null. Okay, so I don't want to look into feature 1 or any other column. If this column, particular column, has a null value, then only delete the row. Okay, so now let us print df4 to see the our data frame. Okay, now you can see in my feature 2 there are many rows. First is 3, you can see 5 to 9 all contains a null value. So I want to delete all these rows in which feature 2 contains a null value. So now what I can do is dot drop na and then specify subset is equals to, you have to pass a list. In this list I'm going to specify feature 2. Okay, so now let us run this program and see. Okay, I have missed subset. Let's correct it and see. Now you can see my all the rows containing in which feature 2 column contains a null value are dropped. Okay, let us check out last parameter in drop na, that is in place. When we execute drop na, we are getting a new data frame. So what if we don't want a new data frame and we want to do all the calculation in my current data frame only? So if I try to print df4, you can see my data frame is not changed. Okay, only result is produced, also new data frame is created. What if I want to modify this data frame? So drop na and let's say subset is equals to feature 2 and then specify in place is equals to true. Okay, this we have learned in many functions. What it will do, it will not create a data frame, instead it will change current data frame only. Okay, so now if you see my data frame is changed. If I try to print this data frame, you will notice my data frame has been changed. Okay, so let us summarize this function now. So data frame name or a object name, you can use our series as well. So data frame dot drop na, and then you can specify axis is equals to 0 or 1 to consider row or column. If you specify 0, so row will be dropped, and if you specify 1, then column will be dropped. How? Any, that means if a row or a column contains a null value, in that case row or column will be deleted on the depending upon what value you have passed in axis. Okay, by default it is 0, and by default how is any. Thresh will specify how many null should be kept. Okay, or subset will specify in which column to look for or which columns to look for null values, and in place will specify if a data frame is to be changed or created new. In case of false, or which is a default value, a new data frame will be created. Okay, so this summarizes our data frame drop na function. Okay, now let us head towards our another topic in which we are going to learn how to fill na and with some other value. Suppose I don't want to drop a row or a column, I just want to fill some value so that my work can be done and I do not want to lose my rows or columns. Okay, so in this context we have another function called fill na. Okay, so yeah, we will see fill na function. Now for this I will be needing my data frame 4, that is to be re-executed. Here you can see my data frame is here and I have re-executed. So at the end, if I try to print this df4, you will get a complete data frame. Okay, so let us start learn fill na. Now suppose for these all values I want to specify, let's say x, right? So how I can do it is df4 dot fill na, then specify your required value, that is in my case x. Okay, if I do it, now you will see my all the values are filled with x. Okay, you can see here it was na and it is filled with x, and you can see rest of my example. Now what if I want n to be filled with a specific column according to the columns? Okay, for example this id underscore df2 column should contain a 0. Okay, because it is a numeric column, so I want to be filled with 0, and for this feature 1 it should be, let's say x, and for feature 2 it should be, let's say b. Okay, what if I want to do or fill my nuns like this? Okay, for this we have another parameter called value. Okay, let us try this. Okay, for this we will be needing our data frame dot fill na, and now I should specify value. Now I must specify my dictionary so that it fills it. Okay, so for the my first field id underscore df2, I must specify, let's say, 0, and for my feature 1 I must specify, let's say, x, and for my another value, that is feature 2, I must specify, let's say, y. Okay, so let us try to do this, and now you will notice my id underscore df2 is filled with zeros, null values. Okay, and for feature 1 my null values are filled with x, and for my feature 2 it is filled by y. So you have customized filling on the basis of column value. Okay, so let us recall how I have used it. I have specified column name as the key and value as the value for NaNs. Okay, so you can see I have specified all the columns and their respective default values that is to be assigned when we find NaN. My fill NaN also contains another parameter that is called a limit. Let us look into it and see what it does. Okay, so I'm going to copy my above example and use additional parameter limit. Limit is equals to, let's say, 1. Okay, now you will notice only my first value is filled with the specified values. Now you can see my first value, which is null, is filled with 0. My first value is filled with x, and my first value that is in this particular column is filled by y, and rest are assigned as NaN. Okay, if I specify here to, let's say, 2, now you can notice my two top values are assigned with my default value which we have specified in value. Okay, so this is how it goes, right? Hope you have understood how to handle null values, right? So this is all for today. Hope you have enjoyed and learned, and see you soon. Bye bye, have a nice day.